building up my generational wealth. I'm trying to feed my family, ain't nothing else. I know you an entrepreneur, but you ain't gotta do it all by yourself. Come and see the money avenue. Real estate, property, multiple streams. Get your paper, build some revenue. Don't be illiterate with your financials. This the official bank account for the culture. Money Avenue.
What's good, brother?
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you. No doubt.
Come on in. What's going on, people? It's your boy, A. Donahue Baker, back again. You know what we do, Money Ave Mondays. We basically land in a city, we talk to influencers, key entrepreneurs, people that are making moves and doing incredible things. And this episode is no different. Got my man Vince right here. We met before, but this is the part 2. Excited about this interview. So without further ado, I'm gonna let Vince introduce himself. Vince, tell him a little bit about who you are.
No doubt. What's good, brother?
All right.
First off, thank you for the invite, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to connect live. You know what I'm saying? We did version 1, like you said. You came up on my show, which, by the way, I think was our number 1 or 2 most watched show.
Oh, really?
Brother, people love your episode.
Yeah.
They love your energy, and they love what you're putting out there into the world, man.
Thank
So
you.
kudos to you. Keep on keeping on. So I'm from DC, but I've been here in Jersey for over a decade, right? So maybe that makes me honorary, I'm not really sure. But we're in Newark now. I spent a lot of time here doing deals and whatnot, as well as around the overall tri-state. I do a little bit of everything. I started out in terms of real estate, regular rentals, did a bunch of wholesale for a while. And as you know, since then we have pivoted and created some platforms, some tech to help other folks who are investing. And that's my primary business now is, building technology to help other investors.
We're gonna get into the tech, but I definitely want to lay the foundation
Sure.
to let people know that you're doing real estate on a major level as well.
Yeah.
So talk to me about some of the deals that you've worked on in the past.
Yeah.
And how did you graduate up to where you are today, basically?
So, my entree into real estate was, not terribly sexy. In my day job, I was doing big exotic deals. Again, I mentioned that we're in Newark, which is the headquartered or home city, I guess, as it were, for Prudential, the insurance company. And so when I got out of graduate school, I moved up here, took a job in Manhattan, and was working for Prudential Capital Group, which is a subsidiary of that larger Prudential organization. And just to give people a very, very short version of a fairly boring story, when big insurance companies take in insurance premiums, they got to figure out what to do with that money so that when you make a claim, they can pay out. And so they send that money out the back door, and sometimes they buy stocks, which is public equities, but sometimes they buy private equity. Sometimes they buy public fixed income, which is bonds, but sometimes they buy private debt, which is, typically term loans and mezzanine debt and things like that. I won't, get into what all that means, but it was a $60 billion fund, and worked on a deal team in the city. And, we were typically doing deals that were 50 to say $200 million, somewhere in there. The first deal I did there was about $100 million. Over the course of my time, we underwrote over $1 billion. Some of those were real estate, but those are big commercial kind of deals. My personal investing, I'm not investing big checks like that just yet, right? So my personal investing.
But it's peeling the curtains, right? It's having that exposure, and then seeing how you can orchestrate the same principles, maybe on a smaller scale, but it's having that exposure, having that experience. I can firmly relate because I was there, as a CPA. Yeah. I've had exposure dealing with not only high net worth clients, but also, working with the family office. You get a chance to see a lot of, a lot of the dollar signs that could be intimidating and things like that. But once you realize, well, hey, if this person is doing it, I could do it too.
100%.
And that's why that's what we try to do basically here on Money Ave Mondays. We basically try to let people know, introducing you to people like Vince that are out there doing it, accomplishing things in the real world. He's Skin and Blows, cool brother, we just want to introduce you to him so you can say, well, look, this is something that possibly I can relate to, or I can do too, and we driving around, we might get a little bumps, you might see some sirens, police car chases, ambulances, all of that, but this is what we do, and this is how it is. So bear with us. Promise you that we won't come in your TV screen or your computer screen or your cell phone and injure you in any way. So just rock with us. Vince.
Yeah.
So let's jump right into what I think is one of the key things that you've been able to do is, number one, you've been extremely relatable to the people, right? I think that you've been able to do that just by being your authentic self, right? How did that start? Like, how did what led you to the idea to do a particular show, number one, and this have so much relatability to the people?
Yeah. So great question, and thank you for saying it. You know how it is, man. When you create content, you put a message out there, you never really know if you resonate, and so it's really helpful and affirming to hear from you and other folks as we have started to get more traction and more viewership and things like that people are relating to it. Man, where it comes from is just, like you said, that's just kind of who I am. I was brought up that way to give back. My mom's a minister. My grandfather's a pastor. So community and service, that's just, kind of in my DNA. And I just have a heart for our people. I have a heart for people generally, but I have a real heart for our people.
That comes through. That really comes through.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like about what you're doing is you do it in a way that's relatable, and there's always an intellectual spin. There's always a kind of like an aspirational thing where it's like, I've listened to a couple of your interviews, and it's like you pull people along, but and you want to bring them somewhere, but you really set it up, and it's real, it's authentic, and it's relatable. It doesn't seem forced or contrived. So
we try to, like you said, man, we try to make it relatable. So we got good music. You know what I'm saying?
Your set is dope.
The set, I think we got a decent little set situation going on.
Yeah.
So we got to give people a little bit of candy, right? And then we had the medicine inside of that, right? And so hopefully it's working. Hopefully people are kind of getting it. Going back to your original question, man, like if you sort of shirt I'm wearing says Black Wealth Matters, right? And that really, I think, sort of sums up where I'm coming from. I really feel, Donahue, like we're at a critical point, man. People know about, at least in a very kind of generic way, about the black-white wealth gap and things like that. I'm not sure if people understand just how bad it is. I'm not sure if people understand that the gap is actually widening, right?
Absolutely.
And so for me, I feel a real sense of mission around doing whatever I can to educate people on how to get up the wealth curve. That's why I have guests like you on the show, right? Who can talk to them, yes, in an aspirational way, but I think the reason that your episode really resonated is because you gave people on the ground tactical things to do, right? It was like, tomorrow morning, I can go do this, right? Donahue showed me these 6 steps, these 6 levels, right? And so I'm really passionate about that, man, about getting that information out to people, because I do understand how acute the situation is. You mentioned that, there's kind of a sort of an academic feel to the show. Again, we have fun, but there's some real rigor around the conversations that we have. Listen, I don't apologize for that. I got a couple of degrees, went to some, brand name schools and things like that. And so I want to bring that rigor into the conversation, but still be relatable.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're going for.
So, speaking of your shirt, Black Wealth Matters.
Yeah.
What does black wealth mean to you?
Oh man, this is the question, right? This is the question. I think that we need to own more stuff. At the end of the day, if I broke it all the way down, we need to own more stuff. We also need to, and this is the thing that, again, I like so much about your show, is it sort of dovetails with my own, not very scientific, but I got a definition. I talk about being free, rich, and wealthy, right? Free, to me, means you make enough money outside of a job that you can maintain your lifestyle, right? It doesn't mean it's time to quit your job. It just means that, you know, you can pay your bills. You're not so dependent on that job that you would, you know, put yourself in a compromising position, that you would not be able to move in integrity in that workspace because you are so desperate to hold on to that job. So for me, that kind of freedom is really, really important. Rich to me means we've gotten past freedom. We make enough money that, for me, again, this is just a very unscientific definition, you make about 10 times more than you need, right? And I like having that be the calculus because it impacts both sides of the ledger, right? You're an accountant, so we know a lot of folks that make a bunch of money, but they spend a lot more.
Right.
So that don't do you no good.
Right.
So to me, that's rich. You know, you're making a whole lot more than you need. And wealthy to me is when we get into, you know, you have income that's, or assets that generate income that's 100 times what you need, right? True. So we're still talking about both sides of the ledger, what's coming in versus what's going out, but there's just a real abundance, right? And so I would love for your viewers and my viewers and everybody get to rich and to wealthy, but I am passionate about our folks getting free.
No, absolutely. I think one of the principles from which we started this bank, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Do you know?
You told me a little bit about it, but
you know what? I'm gonna tell you. We literally have a bank.
Okay.
This is a bank. It's called Money Ave.
Okay.
And it's a lot of people say at-home banking. No, like you can have a checkings account, savings account.
Oh, it's a bank.
It's a bank. This is a bank. And the source of this bank is to basically give a platform for our people to create generational wealth. And the reason why I love your answer is because we want to be that for our community. Yeah. We want to be a platform, and we talked about, and on your show, I talked about the 6 steps, right?
Yeah.
So those 6 steps went into that process. You know, first level, be a thousandaire. Next level, establish a rent-free lifestyle. Next, the 3rd level, separate your business from your personal credit.
That's right.
And live exclusively through your business. 4th level, go out and get $1 million in debt. 5th level, turn the debt into equity. 6th level, establish generational wealth through life insurance, 1031 exchange, trust, various vehicles that you can get at this bank, at Money Ave. It's a 6-step platform that we just bring people through, right? But it starts, you have to meet people where they are. So what we're looking to do, and I wanna work with you on this, right? Yeah. Because I feel like to me, you're like the prime person that understands the bigger picture. And what I mean by that is not a lot of people in our community are exposed to doing $100 million, $200, $300, $400 million deals and understanding the dynamics of those transactions. Now, they're just numbers on a paper.
That's right.
But there's a mindset that comes behind those numbers. There was a male or a female behind it that says, look, I can go out here and do something greater than me possibly, right? Something that I'm gonna build that may live beyond me. And that's the mindset that I really am trying to establish with this bank, to get people a starting point so that eventually you get there with little wins, right? You get there just by opening an account. You open an account and you have interest, you have a savings account and you have a checking account. What is beneficial about that is, let's say you get paid on Friday, right? You get your check on Wednesday. You get your check 2 days earlier, right? That may eliminate the need to go get a personal loan, go to a payday lender, you know, big thing. In addition to that, the banks themselves, they charge you really high fees. Let's say $20, $30 a month, every month, just to have an account with them. We don't charge any fees for our bank accounts, right? There's no minimum balance as well, right? So every month, the banks make between $1 billion and $1.5 billion of revenue. That's fee revenue that's coming into the banks. Banks like Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America.
Say that number again?
$1 billion to 1.5. All of these banks have that fee income coming in every single month on a monthly basis. So what this bank is going to do is disrupt that cycle. Our goal is to take that $1 billion and give it back to the people. So $30 in a month may not seem like a lot to a person that has some money, you know what I'm saying? But imagine that college student, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that 20 or 21-year-old. $30 a month could be the difference between having a decent lunch.
Yeah, that's right.
Could be the difference between life insurance, right? Like, imagine look at what's going on in our community. Just living in an urban environment and being black puts a target on your chest, right? We know what's going on right now in our community. We said between all these rappers just getting killed, and you know, it's really tragic. I wish, you know, I wish that we could make an impact on that.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, something has to be done.
Yeah.
And I hope that this can be a start for it. So, you know, when you talk about black wealth, there has to be a plan. There has to be a game plan.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to put out there to the people.
So I'll make my next comment in a way that you can cut around it if you decide to. I love this idea, and I have actively, for our companies, we have several banking relationships, but I wanted to have at least a piece of our accounts with a black bank. There is one right there.
Absolutely. And it just got sold.
And I went there over a year ago and tried to give them my business.
And it wasn't great.
It was not a good experience.
Yeah.
I walked in, I said, look, I got money. You know, we have a couple of successful companies. I just want to bank black, right? You ain't even got to sell me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm here to bring you assets. And again, here's the part you can cut around, is service wasn't great. Got ignored in the lobby for a long time. And then somebody, it's very unfortunate. And then when I did speak to somebody, they eventually said, oh, well, we have some admin back office issues. We're actually not taking business accounts right now. We can't open it. I said, well, is there enough? Yeah, you're right, brother.
It's not even there.
Not even there.
Yeah.
You know, I ended up walking across the street to Columbia.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, unfortunately, you know, I'm not trying to make excuses.
Yeah.
But it's a difficult journey. You know,
absolutely.
and you know, the other banks, let's just say the national banks, well funded. You know, we're talking about some of them manage, actually they manage trillions of dollars in assets, trillions with the T. So, you know, they're able to do things that, you know, a small bank like that, a black owned bank, can't do. But what's different about what we're trying to do is we're trying to be the antithesis of that. We're trying to provide customer service. We're trying to tailor make the services that's offered specifically to individuals like yourself that need it, entrepreneurs. We're trying to give you funding, right? We're trying to, if you have an LLC, every LLC, we guarantee them at least $50,000 in business credit. You know, these are tools that are not readily available at your local bank.
These are tools that are not readily available at some of your big national money center banks.
Absolutely.
Because I hope that your audience appreciates the significance of what you just said. Again, we've had a level of success and we have decent deposits, and we have had to sometimes jump through hoops to get credit facilities, to get some things that you would not think would be a hard underwrite. You know what I mean?
No matter what business you're in, you need access to capital.
Absolutely.
If you're looking to build wealth, you need access to capital. If you have whatever idea it is, at some point, at some stage of your growth, you're gonna need additional funding to scale. What we set out to do, and this is at the philosophy and the core principles of our bank, is we set out to create more entrepreneurs, more creators, people that have ideas, people that are thinkers, more real estate developers. We're partnered. One of the people on our board is our Donahue Peebles. Do you know who he is?
I'm very familiar.
Right. Well, he's a billionaire, right?
Yeah.
And he's the preeminent black real estate developer living in our country. You know, I mean, you got Herman Russell
down in
Atlanta, who's deceased. God bless the dead. Rest in peace, Herman Russell. But living, you know, he's still among us. You know, and you know, he's on our board advising, showing us how to do that, how to implement that plan. And one of the things that we want to do, and he's allotted $500 million to invest and create more black real estate developers. Now that fund is launching 2021. But the premise of that is the premise of our bank. It is how can we help more entrepreneurs, more real estate developers such as yourself?
Yeah.
How can we help more creators, more people? Because that's really black wealth. That's ownership.
That's right.
Right? And the reason why I said I was going to get back to the technology, because I wanted to wait for this part right here, because in my mind, I wanted to have the technology part. So whatever business that you guys that are listening want to start, you have to have a technology component.
Yeah.
You have to have a technology component. I want you to talk about what you're doing in technology right now, so we can just drop some jewels.
Well, so it's interesting, man. There's like three. I could pull at least 3 strings from what you just went through, which I love, man. So we actually had Don on the show, and you know, really, really gracious, particularly given the level of success that he has achieved, and was very generous with his time. In fact, did the show from his vacation home, and it was amazing. But I only bring it up because we need. I love the fact that you tapped into some of that legacy black wealth. There's a cohort above us. I think you and I are about the same age. Don is kind of, you know, the OG to us. You know, he's that crew that came before. And like you said, Mr. Russell has passed on. You know, God bless the dead. That level above us.
Hold on, mention Mr. Russell. You got to say Phi Beta Sigma.
Oh, here we go.
All right, now we can continue. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So, Herman Russell has passed on, but there was a crew of those guys, just trailblazers, you know, came and kicked the doors in for a bunch of us, but there's not a lot of them, and certainly not a lot of them left, and so good on you for connecting with him. But one thing I want to just touch on is that when we interviewed him, I asked him, I said, you know, Don, we're in this moment where people seem to really be understanding that black wealth is at the heart of this, right? So, personal opinion, you know, people being killed by police in the street, horrible, has to stop. But I guarantee you that is downstream from a lack of wealth, a lack of political power in these communities. If we own enough stuff, if we have enough political clout, there's less police killing, guaranteed, full stop. If we own enough stuff, if we have enough political clout, there is less bullying you out of your community, full stop. Right? And so I asked him, I said, you know, what should be our ask? You know, we're in the street, this is over the summer. I said, you know, people are in the street, there's a lot of energy around it. What should be our ask? And he said, essentially what you did. You know, it's a seat at the table. You know, it's committing capital to black entrepreneurs so that we can create the enterprises that you're talking about. So you are perfectly aligned, brother. What you're doing, even with how some of the elder statesmen are thinking about it, and that's also why we wanted to have him on the show. I did not know he was on your board, but that just shows you some alignment, right?
Well, you didn't even know about the bank.
I didn't even know about the bank, right?
So
exactly. So I certainly didn't know who was on the board.
Nah, good stuff. So, well, I'm gonna be talking to him this week again. So we speak again on.
Tell him I said hello.
Friday. Yeah,
good brother.
But
but sorry, the technology.
Yeah, the technology piece.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a deep dive in that because I think it's so important.
Yeah.
That especially people in our community, how important technology is. When you talked about black wealth, technology has to be there has to be a technology component to whatever business you're doing, whatever you're going to be doing. I think I just want to do one quick story before I pass that on. I'm a professor at Morehouse. I teach entrepreneurship and black wealth. There was a group, so we have this pitch competition that we do in the class where we divide the students up into 4 or 5 groups of 4 or 5 people, right? And one of the students, one of the groups came up with an idea to have a barbershop, right? But to me, what was dope is the technology component of the barbershop. They had an app, and they have a roaming barbershop. So you literally can get a haircut on your app, and this truck comes and basically comes to you, gives you a haircut, hooks you up, you know, priceless. You got the schedule, you time everything. technology
I
right
love it.
there. You know what I'm saying? And just that idea, applying the technology to something that's in all of our communities,
Yeah.
a barbershop.
Totally, man.
You know, it's just allowing a business to scale,
Yeah.
and scale. That idea could be $100, $200, $300 million idea.
All day.
You know, it's really how you put it together. I mean, you look at companies like Uber. You look at
Bevel.
yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's right here, right? And
Absolutely.
I need people to understand that ideation, right?
Yeah.
The stage at which it's just the idea. There are people getting millions of dollars just from ideation.
Facts.
You know, so I'm passionate
Yeah,
about
no,
this
listen.
situation. So I want to get
Yeah.
your take on the technology component.
Yeah, man, I love that. First of all, I wish they had come up with that ad back when I still had a hairline. That's a whole different thing. I'll take that up with God. But listen, man, I think you're right. The other thing that's important, you know, in all seriousness about technology, particularly to Black entrepreneurs, is that is the place where your ideation, your creativity can, I won't say overcome, but it's going to be hard to jump in and compete with somebody whose grandfather was a real estate developer, right? That is a capital intensive business where legacy matters, and it's just hard to compete. But if you have an idea for an app and you know a developer, or you can code yourself, you can come closer to leveling the playing field in technology, maybe more so than anywhere else. And or in the media space, which is why we have also outperformed over indexed there, right? Because there again, it's just our creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't stop my shine. Like, your legacy has nothing to do with my creativity.
Right.
The way that, you know, Black folk sing, dance, make movies, tell stories, you know, all those things that we have just a natural genius to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you see us do so well in those spaces, because the legacy, you know, having granddad who was a developer is not quite such an impediment,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So back to the technology thing, that's why, again, to your point, it's so critical for Black entrepreneurs to get their arms around technology. You know, what we did, again, the roots are real estate, but what we discovered was that there weren't very good tools for people to do that business efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
So I go back to, you know, like I said, I was working in big financial services firms. I'm used to having a Bloomberg terminal and a Capital IQ account, and I can get reams and reams of data. You know, we don't do anything until we have diligenced something, you know, all day, you know, cut it 10 ways to Sunday. And when I started doing real estate and I was doing residential stuff, it was a very different experience. And so I'd be trying to find information, trying to find homeowners, and you have to go to city websites and scrape data, and it was very manual. And so reached out to a buddy of mine who's my business partner now, my co-founder, Justin Winters, who is a full stack software developer. And not just a developer, I want to be real clear here. This dude is a genius, like freak of nature,
Right.
next level type cat, right?
Dope.
And after a bunch of iterations of him helping me think through ways to use technology to do real estate better and more efficiently, he said, man, you know, there may be some products in here that we could build for other people. And so what we have done, kind of the mission statement for our company, has been to give really high level, really robust technology to folks who may be just getting in the real estate game. You know, just because, you know, you're wholesaling single family houses doesn't mean that you shouldn't have access to great tools.
Dope.
And that's what we started giving to people. And so we do a few things, man. We have a skip tracing platform called REI Skip. You can just go to reiskip.com. We'll help you find the homeowner. Even we can help pierce LLCs and find who owns a property.
You gotta work together on that,
bro.
We gotta work together.
We
on
have
that. And
to.
I'll tell you the idea that I have.
Yeah.
Because it just hit me, right? At the bank.
Okay.
Part of our process is when people come in, it's two paths that they can take to build generational wealth, either through real estate, either through business. We want to give them education. So I want to work with your platform, and we can incorporate that into the services that we provide at the bank.
I love it, man.
I think that'll be a great dig. So let's talk about that some more.
We should, yeah.
Almost at the end of this ride.
Cool.
So I want to thank you guys out there for tuning in. If you want to be a part of Money Ave, if you want to join the movement, if you're looking for wealth building activities, a guideline, a roadmap of how to achieve generational wealth, I want you to go to bankmoneyave.com, sign up for an account. It is just the first step. You get an account, you can build from there. We're going to be in a city near you. Maybe at some point in time, you'll be in the passenger seat and we'll be interviewing you, giving you a deeper insight into your power moves and things that you're doing. You can follow me, A. Donahue Baker, at A. Donahue Baker on all platforms, the YouTube channel, Instagram. I also want Vince to give his information. Vince, real quick, where can people follow you?
I would say follow me on Instagram. I'm old, so I'm not good at social media, but at Investor Vince is my IG. The applications themselves, one is REI Skip, one is REI Rail. REI Rail is at REI Rail _app. We're also on Facebook, both of those platforms, so that's the best place to catch me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Another dope episode. I'll see you again in a city near you. Be safe out there. Hopefully we're turning the corner in our country. Some new things are aligning. Looking forward to 2021. It's going to be an amazing year, and we want to rock with you. Peace.
Building up my generational wealth. I'm trying to feed my family, ain't nothing else. I know you're an entrepreneur, but you ain't gotta do it all by yourself. Come and see the Money Ave,